have a question here. You can pause this or drop it in the comments when I pause for a second. Now, the question is, what is the most important unit on the field in college football? What is the most important unit on the field in the Big Ten? Okay, I'll give you a couple seconds to answer. All right. If you guessed offensive line, ding, 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 you are correct. Okay. First things first, my name is Justin Adams. If you're new here and you haven't seen what we're doing here, please consider liking and subscribing if you like the content. Really helps us out if you're able to, give us a comment, a like, a sub, or anything like that. But only if you like the content. We appreciate everybody's support here and appreciate everybody who rocks with the channel and rocks with me and supports. So thank you, everybody. And, let's just get into this offensive line conversation, because offensive line, one of those position groups that has been the thorn in Nebraska fans and Nebraska's side. And let's be honest, for lack of better words, it's the general thorn in a lot of school sides, not just Nebraska. Now, when we're looking at offensive linemen and our offensive line play, right? One of the things to note is, coming into last year, the offensive line was one of those position groups that we had no idea what to expect. Rhule, we're finally starting to see the fruits of his labor, his development pay off just a little bit in a year-over-year improvement. Now, we're seeing a little bit of that improvement in terms of just the overall skill set and development of the skill set of the guys that are at the university currently. Now, what we're going to start to see is a little bit of the type of offensive lineman that they want to bring into the university and bring in to really kind of run this offense and this 49er style positionless offense. And one of the guys that fits the criteria of what you would look for in that offense based on, his O-line play as a tackle. We're going to go into those details in a second. This is the perfect mold of a guy that you would want running a style of offense like that. Okay. Now, one thing that I do always say, offensive linemen, that is the hardest position to come in and immediately play as a true freshman over any position. Okay. I did research back to 2020, 2021, 2022, looking through all of those offensive line classes. And you would probably not be surprised to see that 90% of them redshirt, and then the ones that don't redshirt, they either don't play. I saw 3 linemen out of 50 in the 2022 class, true freshmen, that had any impact on the field. And those were individual players going to teams like Texas and those schools that had offensive lines already built up. There was 3, Clemson, Texas, and I forget the other one, maybe LSU. But I say that to say a offensive line can't be changed overnight, right? You can't go hit the portal and expect to build an offensive unit. Reason being is because you get offensive linemen in and you're looking at a particular set of things. More than any other position, it's very hard to evaluate film on an offensive lineman. Even O-line coaches sometimes have trouble because there's so many different things you got to look at. But one of the things that people do, point out and stuff like that in hand technique and all of that stuff can be taught, right? Offensive linemen need to be developed. They just need to have a solid base and a foundation to build from, just in general. Knowing how to attack leverage, having good lower body strength, lateral quickness, agility, mobility, those type of things are what you want to look for in an offensive lineman, especially an offensive tackle. Okay. Now, I say that to say, Nebraska, yes, we have some linemen that we've recruited, and we're going to start to see some of those guys sneak in there. You got your guys like your Justin Evans Jenkins that we get to see develop a little bit. And so one of the things that I'm excited to see is, the 2024 class, we saw certain type of linemen. You had some really, really big guys in there. But now looking at Broderick Shull, who's the guy I'm going to talk about today, I think I butchered that name. It's the easiest name possible. Broderick Shull. Okay, sorry. So he plays for Bixby out in Oklahoma, and he's a right tackle. Okay, now one of the biggest key takeaways from him. So he's from Bixby, Oklahoma. He's a top 30 offensive tackle in the 2025 class. Okay, now Bixby, Oklahoma, very, very good high school football school. Okay, they have a lot of talent out of that school. They've won many state championships. I believe their most recent is 2022. A 6'5", 275 pounds. Okay. And very lean, very tall, lean guy, 92 rated 4-star. Okay. Now, one of the some of the key things that stood out to me overarching watching his film. And I'm going to go into a little bit of his film. I'm just going to do a quick little rundown of some of the things that stood out to me on film in the first few plays. Won't hammer that too much, but I'm just going to go high level overview real quick. So he plays basketball, and that's another one of those dual sport athletes, the athleticism that you want to see. But even more so with offensive linemen in a zone blocking scheme, you need to have athletic tackles, because when you have, and you'll see his film, when you look at Bigsby play, they have a lot of pulling. Like, they have a very heavy zone blocking scheme. 49ers offense runs a very heavy zone blocking scheme. You got some RPOs, you got a bunch of different stuff, right? So you need these quick athletic guys who have long arms. Offensive tackles need to have a lot of reach to be able to get to their blocks, especially when they're, because they're the more rangy guys. They're the ones that are going to be blocking from further distances, having to pull around and be able to set that block, and they might have to extend on a block. So they have to have good balance, good agility, all that stuff. So now, I told you we're in a little bit of a battle. Auburn right now seems like the favorite to get him, according to 24/7 Sports. Again, he needs to visit Auburn Tech and Texas A&M, and he has those visits locked in. I think Nebraska is going to be first in May. And so, the things that stand out. So, quick off the ball, right? The first thing that you want to look for besides stance. Now, I will say, in his film, it's really hard to see a stance because it's a sideline view. It's really hard to see unless you have a straight end zone view of a guy's stance. So typically the things you want to look for, though, straight feet, straight knees, good balance, and feet flat on the ground, just making sure that he's not tight in any areas. He's not going to be lacking in any areas, and he's able to get a good base under him, and he's able to lift gradually up into the block as opposed to lifting up too high, because if you're tight, you're going to pick straight up. So he's quick off the ball when he needs to be. And I say when he needs to be because there's certain times in a zone blocking scheme where it's going to be a little bit of a delayed pull while you're waiting on the guard to cross through, and maybe he's pulling first and picking a lane, and then you're going second and getting another lane. So, but one of the things he does well is he gets to his spot quickly. He identifies where he needs to be, and he gets there quickly. He gets out of the way. You really need to, in a pulling scheme, in a zone block scheme, sometimes you're going to be right in that path of where that running back wants to go, and you need to make a decision. You can't sit there and identify your block. You have to go. You just have to find it and go. So instincts are very, very key. He gets to a spot quickly. He reacts off his football instincts. I mentioned earlier his lateral quickness. Very, very good at moving his feet, sliding his feet. That way, if in the slight chance he is beat, then he's able to get to a spot he's still able to seal that block off a little bit without getting completely beat and being turned around completely. Short area quickness, he's able to operate in a short space quickly. So he's able to, you'll see it's not straight line speed, but when he gets from the first to second level, it is quick. He gets there in a hurry and he attacks leverage quickly. And you'll see some of these guys get knocked off of their feet with that. Explosiveness and technique. He's got very good technique in the way he, comes out of his stance. Like I said, he elevates into the block as opposed to just coming up too high. So he's able to attack leverage. He's also able to drive, those guys backwards if he stays underneath them. And so the technique there is something that really needs to be hammered home over time. So you really don't want a lineman who, is coming to campus lining up poorly and is not be able to come out of their stance correctly. Those are some of the key things that you need before you step into college. Like I said, the developmental stuff, like the hand stuff and the strength, you can work on that stuff, and then other supplemental thing. But there needs to be a base of details that need to be there before they make that transition over. I talked about his instincts before, his balance, and like I said, he's a plus blocker in a zone blocking scheme. Now, the things I can't really see, like I said, is a stance. You can see it kind of from side, but you can't really see how everything's lined up and things like that. Hand technique, I do see him getting his hands, a little bit out of position sometimes. But again, I don't really focus. It's hard to focus on the hand positioning and stuff like that. That stuff will develop and can develop at the next level, more so than any. And he does drive through his blocks, but I would like to see him almost finish more. I would like to see him really just play through to the whistle. If he gets one block set, let's get on to the next block. He does a very good job of identifying a block and maybe holding that block to the whistle and or holding that player to the whistle. But depending on whether you're doing man block or zone block, man block, you're going to see man get man. Zone block, you're going to see bodies get bodies, right? And so that's one of the things I would like to see. And again, this is being very nitpicky because I have a very limited sample size of film here, and there are just some things that I can't see. But looking at the overall base of him, just how quick he is, how long he is, and how he's able to use his body and use his leverage and use his physical attributes. That's very important because a lot of people may have length, may have size, but they don't necessarily know how to use the size. Okay. So now let me just go ahead and I will pop up just a little bit of his film here so we can go through a small amount here. Like I said, I won't kill y'all too much with the breakdown, but let's just look into it. All right. So first play here, what you're going to see is you're going to see him get to the second level quick, fast, and in a hurry. So this is kind of what I was talking about before, where you talk about just his ability to operate quick in a short area, right? And that includes jumping from this level to this level. You accelerate, you explode quickly, and he gets to his next block, and look at him attack the leverage. Clear out the space. Boom. Quick, up second level, sets the block. Okay. Next play, right side. Now this is going to be a pull. So you see right there, inside guy is going to pull first, and then he's pulling right after. Now, what you want to make sure you pay attention to is that he's not getting too deep into the backfield and that he's getting to a spot quick, because this play develops quickly. This running back's going to get the ball, and he's going to be right in here and find the lane right in here. So let's run. All right, he seals this block here. Now he's figuring out where to go, who to block. So he's going to need to block this guy. All right, so he gets through the zone here, kind of pushes 77 so he can get through, clear a little space. The running back's coming behind him. He's got to make a quick decision. Boom, gets that shoulder. But not only that, not only does he get to that shoulder, he also tries to get as close to the outside shoulder as he can, pushes through. I would like to see him stay a little bit more on balance, but pushes through and is able to keep his feet upright. All right, so, and then here's another one. This is another pull. So he's going to pull first. And this is one where you're going to see a little bit of his footwork, a little bit of his balance and instincts kick in. Okay. 75 pulls. He's pulling right behind him. All right. 75 has this block out here. He goes low. He trips up. He's trying to really clog this lane up by knocking both of them down. Right. So he comes through like that. He goes low, which is kind of dirty. Trips him up a little bit. Now this running back's already coming through, but check this out. Rotates, gets on his block. Okay, now that's footwork and that's instincts. He had already identified, based on this play design, who he needed to come through and get. Okay, boom, not too deep in the backfield. Immediately sees the hole, gets it. Now he's got the running back coming from behind him. He gets a little tripped up, spun around, but he's already identified this guy's the guy to block. Now right here, he could have just got out of the way and lived to fight another play because he doesn't want to get his running back way, or he can try to seal this block. But he trusts his footwork enough. And this is a tough play to make on the field, footwork wise, especially as a nearly 300-pound guy. Spins around, not only spins around to perfect balance, perfect leverage. It's one thing to spin, but it's another to spin right into your stance. That is muscle memory. That is when it's drilled into your memory. He knows to fall right into his stance and immediately, boom, attacks leverage. And that guy had all the leverage in the world. He was spinning around onto that block, still was able to hold him back, seal it out, maintain leverage. Good play there. Now this one, he does get beat a little bit on the inside here, but what you'll see is the lateral quickness to be able to at least come up and make somewhat of a recovery without having to hold him right there. So you'll see him slide step in front of him just to stay with him long enough. Now, again, you don't want to see him kind of get beat to the inside like that. And you also don't want to see him go down there at the end. You want your lineman to kind of stay upright as much as possible. But again, you're getting beat. There's only so much that you can do in that situation. All right, here he is on the right end again. Right there, he mirrors this guy coming into him. He's going to try to do an outside pass rush. Now, the biggest thing that you want to be able to do when identifying a pass rush or a bull rush, you need to have quick lateral ability, because what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to mirror them. And what a speed rusher will try to do is he'll try to go around you. So you need to keep your base and stay in front of him as much as possible. Okay. Right now is a little bit of a power rush, and he transitions over into a little spin out and then kind of goes into a bull rush. But he does a good job of staying in front of him, sealing that block out. doing just what he needed to do to make sure his quarterback could find a lane and get through. Now, this one's just a little muddy play at the goal line. Not much to really see here. Just kind of muddies it up inside. And then this is the last one I'll show you here. I think this is the last one. All right, yeah. So here it is. And you're going to see, and I'm going to slow this down a little bit because the first thing that you're going to see, and I'll let it run once through real quick, but you're going to see the line want to get out and set the block this direction. Plays going this direction. Watch how quickly he gets to his spot there. Okay. Now you'll see other linemen were also in that same concept, that same scheme, getting into their same spots right here. Right here. You saw 3 of them that are going to do that. Now, but watch the quickness. This is what really stands out. I don't know why this is going so slow. I apologize. But okay. Boom. He's at a spot, already turned his hips. He's already got the leverage driving his defender this way. Nobody else does. Let it run a second. Boom. Okay. Now they rotate. It's almost the defender's leverage. They almost use the defender's leverage to their right shoulders to drive themselves around. But watch how quickly he slide steps into position. So he almost engages the block as he's stepping around them. Boom. He stepped around, engaged the block. The other guys are kind of rotating into it, letting them hand fight their way into the play. Okay. And let me move this back here. Okay. So yeah, so right there is kind of there's 2 minutes of that tape, but like I said, I didn't want to kill y'all too much with it, but those are some of the details that you want to look for when you have a athletic lineman coming in that you want to be able to run a lot of zone schemes, RPOs and stuff with. Is that is the base that you want to have. Now, what you see from him right there on film, a couple things that he might need to work on: lower body strength, right? And I didn't see him necessarily fall down on this film due to lack of lower body strength. However, you can see on some plays where you would want him to drive a little bit more, but he starts to pitter patter his feet. The other guy starts to pitter, and they get locked up, right? And he starts to almost lose the drive that he had. You don't want to see the feet stop and then restart. You want to see the feet continuously drive, right? And so there are a couple times on film where he will, drive his feet and then let off and then kind of just like watch the guy, and or just look around. And there's other plays where he will drive to the, block to the whistle, but he's kind of holding him in place to the whistle. So, maybe just a little bit more tenacity. Again, these are nitpicky things, but these are things that are going to be taught to him at the next level. But as a overall base of a lineman, I love what he brings to the table. Auburn, again, right now might be in the lead for him. And, over there, they do like to run the ball. They've had issues with offensive line play in recent years. And so it's one of those things where they had multiple offensive line groups on the field at any given point last year as well. So whoever gets him is going to be, very lucky to have him. And hopefully this is somebody that Rhule can bring in, because I think this is a great base of an offensive tackle to work towards the future with and really be able to set this line up with the strength and athleticism that they want. Again, you have to find linemen that fit your style. Just because a lineman's good in one place doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be good somewhere else. He's not. If he doesn't fit your style, he's not going to be good for you. If you have a guy who specializes in his lower body strength at man-to-man blocking, well, he's not going to be able to do well on a zone blocking scheme. He's not going to do well on a Chicago Bears type of roster. So, it's one of those things where it's just the offensive line, again, is hard to really break down and evaluate, but I'm going to continue to try to bring out these little things and show the little different nuances in the offensive line and stuff like that. The guys that we're bringing in. If you would like to see more of the offensive line stuff, I know it's not as sexy, but if you would like to see the offensive line stuff more, please like down below. Please comment down below and let me know what you think. And, sorry for the little hiatus in the recordings here recently. I've been working on a lot of stuff on the back burner, and I've been dealing with a lot of stuff on the back burner. So, but that's going to start cranking back up here, getting back on the film studies, getting back on the position group reviews, and I'll have that coming for y'all rapid fire here in the next few weeks. Also, a lot of big things coming in the works, big announcements and stuff like that. So y'all stay tuned, subscribe, tap in for everything Huskers, voice of college football. And if y'all want to catch me on the live streams, those are every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central. So I will see you on the next video. Thank you again for everybody watching, and peace.